Well, hello my friends, and welcome to another Money Management Monday video. I used to dream of this as a teen, where I could listen to my children playing the piano while others were going around doing their own thing, and I get to live my dream. That is my 9-year-old playing. My 7-year-old is putting together a Lego set that he purchased with his money. My 2 older boys are kind of supervising him. My husband's doing a transmission flush on the car. My oldest just walked to the library. I live a beautiful life. Thank you for joining me today. I put up my husband's working full time, what that's going to look like for income and whatnot, and people were wondering, what does that look like, after we've made money? And I thought I had kind of illustrated it well in the video, but maybe I didn't do that so well. So let me kind of just briefly go over what's been happening and what everything looks like. So yes, it's wonderful when your husband has finished school and full-time job and whatnot, but again, this is something that we've done. Our life has looked like this for the past 3.5 years. My husband works part-time for during the school year, and then during the summer he works full-time. We kind of bulk up that checking account, and then he goes back to part-time during the summer. So the only time that this will look differently is if he has a part-time job and a pastoral position in the fall, when again normally we would go back to a part-time job aspect. So it's really going to depend on that this fall, because again this has just kind of continued on like it has before, and here's where it went a little crazy. So during the summer, in years past, I have done babysitting, but I quit once summer break began, and I told the parents I'm not babysitting anymore. I'm really kind of turning my heart and trying to focus more on my children and kind of our home and atmosphere and things like that. So in years past I've still had income coming in. So this is where it's a little different. However, I still ended up having income come in because I ended up driving for the Amish 2 weeks plus 2 days. And I have made more money, 3 times as much in 1 week driving the Amish than I've had in 1 month babysitting a child, even 2 children. I've still tripled that amount in 1 week. But summertime, and for whatever reason, I think God just kind of holds back a dam for our family. He really just is. We just see him working so much in our lives. And I really think he holds back the dam when we really just can't deal with it, and just kind of raises it a little bit when we have the funding to deal with everything. And so yes, I got more money this month, and my husband's making more, and we're so excited to bulk up our checking, and literally things one after the other have happened. I was so excited because I was able to give, 1 paycheck over to my husband. We had to get new tires on the car, so I was like, okay, look, I got it for you. And then we finished paying for my daughter's driving thing, or we just paid for my daughter's driving course. I've had it like a down payment on, and then you kind of finalize it, so we paid that off. We've had a few things to get ready for the trip, and we paid that off, and then my husband's laptop broke, and on top of my laptop being broke, now he's kind of needing a laptop to write the sermons, and I need my laptop for my work. And so it was like, honey, if you're going to constantly be borrowing mine, you need to get your own. And so we did, and we wanted one that would last, not a cheap one that would just get us through in, you know, a year or two, not a Chromebook, but something that would last. So you put the money out for that, which is what we did. And so you have the car tires and car things that we needed to get fixed. And a laptop, and fixing a laptop, and oh, the parts, the van parts. We had to get some van parts that ended up being like $500. We ended up spending an extra $100 in 1 week on gas because I was going up to the big city to help a friend quite constantly, and that starts adding up a lot. So now, if you think that, oh, well, that's just everything, you know, it's just out of your control, there were some things within my control that played a part. So, one of the things was hauling Amish. That's what it's called here, hauling Amish, driving them to work and back. I'm up at 4 a.m. every day. The likelihood of me getting to bed before 11 p.m. Is very slim. Before 12 is more likely, but very rarely. And a lot of that has to do with I'm in the season of my life with teenagers. And teenagers really just, sometimes it's not that they need you to sit down and have a deep conversation with them after the kids go to bed, but they also just need that time with you. Not watching anything. Sometimes we would just sit on the couch and I'm crocheting or knitting or something, and they just needed to be there. Like, they mattered. And so there was some of that thrown in there. Sometimes it was, okay, I've been gone between the hours of 2 and 5. I have to catch up now on those things that I didn't get done during that time. So you just keep, things just keep getting pushed back a little bit and a little bit more and whatnot. And so all that to say that sometimes, well, there was at least 2 nights where I was like, we need to figure out something quick for dinner because I don't have a brain to even turn a stove on. And so you know that comes out of your paycheck. You know, when you do something like that, it's like, okay, well, in this case, it still benefited me because I was making enough to cover that. But things get taken out. A couple of times I asked my sister to cover my cleaning shift, and in return for that, I was like, here, you know, go get us coffee. Or can you help me with the cleaning shift because I'm just short on time. Here, we'll buy coffee and I'll do coffee. And again, it just starts cutting back on the things. So, and then we have just a little nest egg to take with us on our vacation. So again, that was also money that we were trying to put aside for that. Some bills came that we were just not expecting. We switched our cell phone providers, and in the process of that, my husband's phone is not compatible with this cell phone provider. It is an unlocked phone, and everything worked out great until you can make calls, and we can't make calls on the phone. For whatever reason, this particular phone does not read a cell signal, so we had to buy him. So all that to say, like I said, when I said there's a dam and there's just like this little bit raising, I can only imagine what reality could be. Like, we could need to purchase a whole new van rather than, you know, almost $1,000 in car parts. I'll take that over buying a new van right now, and I really need my van to get us to California and back. So there's just all of this to say, like, it's been great kind of having a little more cushion, but it does mean that like I said, I think that dam is raised just a little bit more so that things kind of flow through that you're like, okay, I guess we better take care of this, and I guess we better take care of that. I guess we better kind of get up and on par on that. So that's kind of where it's been. I've been very reflective and grateful lately that, you know, God just, every time I think, okay, I don't know if we're going to make it. I don't know if we're going to make it. Like, there's just this reminder, whether it's reflecting or somebody saying something or me reading something or something that's like, you know, why do you think that's going to change overnight? Because you are trying to control something. Rather than, hey, it's just, this is life, and God has shown that He will carry you through it and protect you. And so what if things are a little bit tighter? That doesn't necessarily mean that He has left you. It just means that things are a little bit tighter, and that's just how things go. And it's hard to rest in that. It's easier to kind of start panicking, and that's not really where I want to do or the example I want to set for my children when it comes to finances. And when I was talking about reflecting, there's different things I was reflecting on. I was really reflecting on Mama's Bank Account by I think Kathleen Arnsky. I'll have a picture of it right here. They did a movie on that called I Remember Mama. I'll leave both of those linked down below because the movie I Remember Mama is a sweet, old, classic film. It's just a sweet movie to watch, a clean, wholesome movie to watch. But one of the things that Mama did, Mama and Papa, they were immigrants into our country. I think they were Swedes. And, no, I'm sorry, they weren't. They weren't, and I should know this. I should know better. They were Norwegian. So an immigrant family, and so they had like this little box that once a week they would pull out the box and whatever money was in there that they had earned throughout the week, they would then decide what was needing to be purchased that week. So for some it was like school books, for some it was a new coat, for some it was, you know, food and pay the grocer, pay the electricity, you know, whatever it was. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. And it was, you know, their thing was, we don't want to go to the bank. We don't have to dip into the bank. What money is in the bank? Whatever we want, it needs to be within this box. And Mama's always trying to get a coat throughout this whole book. Like, Mama needs a good winter coat. But things just always come up. And she's like, oh, this is going to work for now. And at the end of the book, where I'm trying to get to, is you find out that there was never really any bank account that they could pull from. It was what was in that box. And the daughter's like, why wouldn't you tell us the truth? And she was like, it's not good that children should worry. Why I was reflecting on this is that, you know what, like the mama who, you know, needed a good coat, she had something that she could deal with. It was keeping her warm. It just wasn't as wonderful as it could be. But she was working with what she had. And going to the bank was kind of this idea of, if we can work with what we have, you know, sometimes the kids are like, you know what, I can make this, you know, little pencil work, you know, another semester. I can, I don't need a new, I think there was like a graduation gift of something she needed, and Mama sold something so that she could have this. She's like, actually, I don't need it. I needed the heirloom treasure, you know, something more. But basically, you just get into this idea of what really do we need, and how content are we to stick with what we have in our little box, what money, what cash we have at our fingertips. You know, just because you have the cash for something doesn't mean that you can afford something, because again, you have to look ahead. Like, okay, if the cash is all gone and next week daughter has an appendix removal surgery, I have to pay that doctor bill, I don't have the cash for it, doesn't mean that what I bought this week I can necessarily afford. So there was that reflection kind of going on in my mind, which kind of spun, because this is how my brain works, which kind of spun into a quote that I love so much, and I reflect on it all the time, especially when I'm contemplating purchasing things, frivolous things. And it's something from another book, and it's Letters of a Homestead Woman. And it's another phenomenal book. But in that book, I think it's Eleanor Pruitt. I think that's her name. She says, "It is true I want a great many things, but I don't want them badly enough to be discontent with what I have." In essence, that's what she said. I'll put the exact quote here. It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful quote. Because, in essence, that's it. There's a great many things we do want to have, but we don't want them bad enough to be discontent. We can't get to that point. And so, when you're looking at your finances and you're like, I'm not where I wanted to do. I wanted to put more money into savings. I wanted to bulk up this checking account before, part-time work happens again. I wanted. You can get to a point of being discontent that, hey, we have full paychecks coming in right now. Why are you looking at the negative side of where you're not at and not being thankful for what you have right now? Like the opportunity to drive the Amish, that you had the money that you needed to purchase, to gladly give your husband to purchase those tires, and like, hey, look, we're in this together. We can do this together. There's just a lot of things like that, and the reflection that comes in my heart is a lot of times on those driving days when it's like, I'm so tired. Keep going, don't fall asleep at the wheel. And it's kind of an encouragement as well. It's not just a reflection and not just a butler kick to my own self of where my thoughts would go, but kind of channeling them in the way that they should go. It's also like, hey, you have much to be thankful for, and you need to take this time to be thankful. And all of these things kind of come and just start bombarding you when there's so much going on. When there's so much going on, it's easy. It's so easy to start feeling overwhelmed and to start looking at all the negative things going on. When you've got things bouncing on, it's almost like a defense mechanism that you don't necessarily think of the good things, but that you kind of fall into a pattern of defeat. And so it's crucial to train yourself to start counting on those blessings that have been testimonies in times past of where you are today. And that's just kind of where we're at. I heard something today from a friend of mine, and she was just so disheartened. She's just like, I'm not where I wanted to be. I don't have anything saved, and nothing is coming in, and I don't know where we're going to be. And her husband has a job. He's able to make bills. He's actually making more than my husband. That doesn't necessarily, I'm not using that as a comparison. I'm saying, and I think she has less kids than me. No, we have the same amount of kids. But my point being that, she was like, I have to rely on God. Like, I have nothing else. I have no other anchor. I have to rely on God. And that's exactly it. Like, in this, if we're only relying on ourselves, we're going to fail ourselves. You can only do so much. And circumstances can still hit you even when you've given it your best. There is only the anchor of the Lord. But it also made me reflect that widow's jar in Isaiah. I love to use that with my friends when I'm trying to encourage them in difficult times. Like, you know what? God provided that widow until the famine was no longer. It wasn't that it was an indefinite jar of oil to provide for her and her son. It was that until the famine was over, until it had accomplished its purpose. And we're kind of in a similar boat where God will keep providing in ways that are incomprehensible until the purpose. But even think about it, like when God ended that drought, he brought the rain. So he was still providing for us. But remember where she was at. She was like, we are at our last morsel. We're going to eat this and die. And I keep forgetting that. Like, they were at that I'm going to eat and die aspect of life. We have not even reached that. We have not reached that last drop of, okay, this is it. This is the final thing. Once we eat this last morsel of bread, all of us, we're just going to pass out. We've sold everything we can sell. We are no longer, we're homeless. We're living out in the elements. Like, we haven't reached that point. And God is still providing and going beyond even what we can imagine. And so it was just kind of another reminder to me that during this time, yes, we're not where we are, but look where we are. You know, we're not where we want to be, but look where you are. And just kind of keep going forward in that. So this is kind of like an update, but more or less, this is actually a financial encouragement video, because I really want those that are struggling so much to understand what they're going to be doing in the next year, in the next month, in the next week. Maybe just take today and do what you can and pray and deal with today. That doesn't mean don't be proactive, but it does mean do what you can today. And think about how far you have come and where He has brought you. Even if it's gone down more, He still brought you, and this can't be your first time that you have fallen. You're still getting up, and it brings another reflection of in Love Comes Softly, when the barn has caught fire and Marty is talking to Clark, and she's like, this is the God you serve? Like, you know, did you want this? Did you want that your barn you would lose your barn, your first wife? You wanted all this? This is what your God is going to give you? And he kind of goes with her, and he's like, you know, God didn't bring all of this. He promised that He would just be there with me during it all. And I'm getting distracted by the kids. And he gives her an illustration that says, but you know, my daughter can fall down even though I'm right beside her. But she knows that a father's love will pick her up and carry her and hold her through it. And the truth of God's love is not that He brings these bad things upon us. Like, that's humankind. That's what sin did. That's what sin did. But God promises to be there with us. And Scripture shows, especially in Proverbs, but it shows throughout all of Scripture. But if you want to start somewhere, just start in Proverbs. But He shows throughout all of Scripture that He is there with His people, and that He will be there when they call on Him. It's us that turns away. It's not Him. It's us that turns away. And that's just where my mind needs to focus right now. That it's not Him that turns away. It's not Him that's like, okay, figure it out, honey. You're on your own. Let me just see how this goes down. I mean, as parents, as human parents, let me put it that way, as human parents, sometimes our kids make stupid things and we're like, all right, I told you so. Let's see how this turns out for you. And God is not going, He's not a master puppeteer. He's not going to like pull the chains and strings until we do exactly how He wants. He gives us free will. That doesn't mean that it's free will to step outside His boundaries. So if He gives me the cash, it's not my free will to spend it willy-nilly how I want. Like, this good stewardship is me using it in a proper and true way that helps my family, glorifies Him, and helps others in any way possible. That's good stewardship. I'm going to have to wrap it up here. I just got cold, so thanks. That thought is now, take it as you will. We're going to have to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I will see you in the next. Bye.